Pet Trustee sponsors Let's Talk About Animals, hosted by Jewel.
Talking about animals, and we have a special guest with us today from Amarylis Horse Rescue, Christine Distefano. Hello, Christine.
Hi, Jewel.
It's so good to see her because Christine is one of the people that I admire so much because you absolutely do a wonderful job. I remember that first day that I met you coming over, and you were actually at the farm rescue. You're there, and you're in a trailer, and you've got a bucket in your hand, and you're ready to feed, and you really are on the scene with your heart, your soul, and even to testify so much. Look at the boots, the shoes that she has on right now.
I was trying to hide them.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. It was great, really great. Nikki. Dogs will be dogs.
She's got a lot to say.
Oh, I know. I bet I would love to hear sometimes what animals really think about humans.
Exactly.
Yeah. In fact, we're doing a documentary about that called Life's Rough. But back to the horse rescue. Tell us your names, the different names. I know you're changing, in the process of maybe changing from horse rescue to horse sanctuary.
We're Amarylis Farm Equine Rescue and have been since 2005.
Okay.
We've been Amarylis Farm since 1989, and we've always rescued horses, you know, one at a time, two at a time, and now in 2005 we became a 501c3, began the horse rescue, which it just took over my entire world and that of every one of my family members and friends and a lot of the East End here. And in 2009, we opened Long Island's first horse sanctuary for senior and special needs horses because we found that just being the rescue wasn't enough, and that's Amarylis Farm Horse Sanctuary, which is what we really want to talk about, you know, the need for the sanctuary today, because the need for the sanctuary far outweighed the need for the horse rescue.
Okay, now tell us about some of the, I know you've had a lot of problems with the rescue and heartbreak and disappointments. Tell us a little bit about why you are in this transition period going from a rescue to a sanctuary.
We've saved, since 2005, we've assisted thousands of horses from coast to coast. We've helped everyone. We've sent money everywhere. We've sent blankets to Alabama, to Ohio. We've sent, you know, a lot of the donations that come in this area will get halfway decent used tack, you know, the blanket's dirty, give it to the horse rescue. We wash it, clean it, send it to a horse that needs it in Tennessee. And so we've helped a lot of horses. Personally, we've brought in 121 into our main barn here in Sagaponack.
Wow.
What happens is we're 5.5 years later now. All of a sudden, you know, one horse's Angel's owner's going to college. She's coming back. Two in Southampton, they're getting divorced. They're coming back.
The horses?
The horses are coming back. We've had, you know, owners die. Yeah. We've had owners end up in the hospital. We've had foreclosures. And we've you know, helped the neighborhood horses, Long Island's horses first, New York's horses, you know, and then all over. But what happens is, you know, 3-4 years later, life gets in the way. The horse is a huge expense. The horse is the first thing to go and the first thing to come back to Amarylis. I will not save a horse without promising them forever. I cannot do it. I cannot wrap my brain around doing that. I cannot euthanize a horse until they are ready and their quality of life is gone. And at that point, you know, then I'll help them cross the Rainbow Bridge with the help of a veterinarian. But I mean, we've had 4 horses. We've lost 4 horses in 5.5 years.
Losing them how, Christine?
We've had to euthanize. You know, Ben, the big Percheron that the Amish family, they cut his tail off. They, I mean, destroyed this horse in every way, shape, and form. We gave him the best year and a half of his life until he couldn't stand up anymore, you know? So everything is yeah, there is a time. There's always a time. But that time isn't because you want to save $1.
Right.
If a horse gets to be 20 years old, they have to be an amazing horse because they just got through humanity for 20 years, you know? Haven't bitten anybody, kicked anybody, hurt anybody. And in this area with the show horses, brilliant show horses, and they become lesson horses and camp horses, and, you know, a lot of these seasonal camps. They will rent a horse or a pony, a few of them for the summer. They'll do their summer camps, and off they go. The Friday night that summer camps end, these horses are in the auction being bid on by the kill buyers because nobody wants to winter them or you lose your profits. So the horses battle is much more intense than a dog's or a cat's. And we have the dogs and the cats and the goats and the ducks and the chickens and the potbelly pigs and everything. Bunnies, you know, gerbils come into, everything comes into Amarylis. So we're very much a full sanctuary. But the horses outlive everybody.
35 years?
Yeah, horses live into their 30s, into their 40s. Ginger's 33. She'll be 34 in January. Ginger still runs to go anywhere, you know, and she was racehorse a million years ago. Freddie Bear's owner died. He'll be 29. We've yet to pull in a $5 donation for this horse, you know, and it was horrible. And it's so a lot of these older horses, people don't understand, you know, to give us money to help us save a horse off of the slaughter truck is a wonderful thing. But if you're not going to help us buy a bale of hay the next day, it's not helping the horse because sometimes, you know.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's a lifetime commitment.
Exactly.
In other words, what you're telling us, it's your lifetime and the horse's lifetime. And
so you have 30, 40 years, and then you have, you know, these horses that earned it, the service horses, you know, the police horses, the carriage horses, the summer camp horses, the camp horses that kept children safe. Trooper is 34. Now, Trooper was a Girl Scout horse brought into the kill pen with the whole group of Girl Scout camp horses into Washington State. You know, the whole bit of them bought by the kill buyer who, from that feedlot, actually shipped direct to Mexico.
Well, now that's the whole issue. Now that we've, 2007, passed the law that we cannot send horses to slaughter to be used in hamburgers, which a lot of people don't realize that they're eating horse meat. Well, they just got around it. Now they send them to Mexico and to Canada.
What happened, and that's what most people don't realize, is they've always sent them to Canada and Mexico. And the number of horses since the United States plants closed, the slaughter actually increased. So every time you have a hoof and mouth scare or a mad cow disease, you know, the foreign countries, they increase their importing of horses. So our horses are now, you know, it's barbaric. It was barbaric in Texas. It was barbaric in Illinois. You know, this has been barbaric since the beginning of time. Whenever you have a slaughterhouse, you don't have human beings. I'm sorry, you just don't have human beings because you can't watch that. You know, you have sociopaths that are incapable of feeling any kind of compassion whatsoever. So you have this, you know, over in Mexico, you have this in Canada. It's horrific. It's a horrific, brutal end. By the same token, you have a certain responsibility when you take in an animal and you promise them to protect them.
Love it for life.
And
love it for life.
Right, and when this animal is actually going to keep your child safe or keep you safe or work in a lesson barn and earn you all that money, who exactly is earning the money? You standing on the ground, you know, rearranging the jumps, or is the horse that's keeping your students safe and keeping that money flowing? At the end of their usable career, they need to be protected, and when they are even sold or placed into another environment, they need to be watched. They need to be cared for because things happen in people's lives. And this is what I found. And the number of horses that were adopted out years ago coming back just from life getting in the way, and the horses are getting older and they're getting less capable of readapting to a new situation, it's really, really difficult to survive. So the horse rescue part of Amarylis is now down to maybe 5%. And we are taking, you know, fielding the calls coming in, wanting horses, needing a place for a horse and placing horses that way. But Amarylis itself is a horse sanctuary because there is not one single horse that I will go to my grave not doing 100% for what they need. And what people don't understand is we are Amarylis, and I was born here, so I am a redneck. I am a stall mucking redneck. It is who I am. My truck is an Escalade because I used to actually have a job that made a heck of a lot of money. My truck carries manure now, and everybody that's seen it, it's the only Cadillac probably that, you know, works in New York State and earns its keep. But they see pretty fences. It's because I work hard to do this. They see the ocean, and it's the Hamptons, and it's the celebrities.
Let's talk about that, because we named this show The Myth of Amarylis. And I think that because you have so much great publicity and things like that, everybody thinks you've got all of this money. You don't need me.
Right.
So what really happens, I know that I've attended some wonderful parties for Amarylis and felt like, gee, I'm raising all this money for donating this money to Amarylis.
And gee, where is Christine?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And it's 2 hours into this event, and she's still not here.
Right.
Well, I'm feeding the horses. That's how it runs. I am feeding, I am cleaning, I am taking care of the barns, the horses. There's no time where I'm ever taking care of less than 50 horses. Even if I do get adopters to support the horses, in many times it's on an estate. It's somewhere where I am their indentured servant, or the horses don't get to stay there. They don't get their food money. I'm the missing piece of the puzzle. So, and a lot of times, you know, I'm very much the slave to the horses, which is fine. But what people don't realize, we don't have a staff. We don't have these paid salaries. We don't have
the groomers and all of the people, the trainers, and all of the things that go
the
with
volunteers. People want to come and pet the horses. I mean, I can't tell you how many times well, I can't muck because of my back, or I can't, you know. So the volunteers everyone wants to be around the horses because it's an awesome environment. It's fun, but there's so much work involved. There's so much labor-intensive work involved, office, administrative, everything. I am doing it all.
Yeah.
And this is what people don't realize. And I am not pulling a salary. If I tried to throw a salary, Amarylis be done. Or we would be euthanizing horses like other horse rescues, you know, or filtering them back out. And so the motive of Amarylis is 1,000 times more pure than probably, you know, anything I can imagine, because all of the money belongs to the horses. It's their money. If I go out and somebody hands me 20 bucks and says, oh my God, that's an awesome thing, which never happens, but you know, if it did, it's going directly to Agway, because a bag of their grain, a senior grain, Triple Crown Senior, is 20 bucks. That's 50 pounds of grain. I do math in, you know, in pounds of feed now and everything. But the horses that we have, the older horses, we have a lot of older horses. You can't tell the difference between them and a 5-year-old. So I can stand a 30-year-old horse next to, you know, one of my 5-year-old horses, and they both look fat and healthy and shiny and happy. And if you look close, they might have no teeth at all. They might have, you know, all these issues. But because of the constant care and manipulating the care, we keep them going and going and going, which keeps them expensive for longer and longer. But their quality of life is so important, you know, and the seniors that come in are so appreciative. They're so appreciative. Some of them watched their owners leave on ambulances. Ace. Ace had a room full of trophies, ribbons, Western showers, magnificent horse. His owner died knowing he was safe. In the end, he was safe. He's in Amarylis. He's with me now. And, you know, we're there to promise these horses forever. We need the support of people, because a horse's expense is immense. I mean, your average horse, between the vet, the farrier, just your basic expenses, the food, you know, not even getting into rent and electric and other things that businesses run.
Now, do you rent the farmland?
We do. We pay rent.
So that's another expense, you know.
Yeah, it's constant. And the amount of time that we spend driving from barn to barn to barn, my daughter and myself, is amazing. If we could just get one barn, if we could just get one spot, 20 acres, 25 acres, we could grow grass, we would have, you know,